Good evening, it is 7:06 and I hereby call to order the November 2017 meeting of the Village of Tivoli Board of Trustees. Will you please join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We will begin with a village clerk's report. Clerk Bruno, please. Hey Pete, thanks for joining us.
Pete the Public.
Pete the Public. Welcome, sir. Clerk Bruno, please.
Yes. So in the office, there were 349 trash tags that were sold. 2 payrolls were processed. Deputy clerk attended 2 planning board meetings. And coming up next Thursday and Friday, November 23rd and 24th, the office will be closed in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday.
Thank you, Clerk Bruno. Moving on to approving minutes from previous meetings. We have our regular board meeting minutes from October 18th, and we have the special meeting minutes regarding the FOIL appeal. We can approve these together. Is there a motion to approve both sets of minutes? Is there a second?
Second.
That was Major, followed by Schneider. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Moving on to Treasurer's report. Thank Treasurer Day. Another good month in terms of we spent some money, if that's what good month means. But we have invested in a new truck, a beautiful new dump truck, which should be here by the end of the month, next week or two. So that's why we have such a large expenditure this month. Out of the general fund, $42,449.54. Out of the water fund, $27,003.57. And out of the sewer fund, $66,665.19 for a grand total of $136,118.30. In addition to the truck, which is spread across those 3 funds, which was about $60,000, we also have in there payments for the clarifier tank repainting at the sewer plant, another big ticket item. So, is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
That was Trustee Israedi, followed by Trustee Murphy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And the treasurer's report is accepted. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
You are all really just timed right in. Schneider, followed by Major. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to zoning report. Trustee Israedi, please.
Our code enforcement officer, John Fenton, has issued 3 building permits, performed 4 building inspections, responded to 1 complaint, issued 2 zoning violations, attended 2 court hearings, and completed 5 municipal searches, and has scheduled 2 fire inspections. So he has had a busy month.
Another busy month.
Yeah. And those municipal searches mean that transactions are going on in Tivoli, I think.
Wait, what?
Real estate transactions. Those are title searches.
The buying and selling of houses
Why was that
and properties. Yeah. Those kinds of transactions.
Right.
Thank you, Trustee Israedi. We are at public comment on agenda items. Let's see, we're going to set the date for village elections and appoint election inspectors. We are purchasing fuel oil, propane, and diesel, having done competitive shopping. Got the holiday schedule, return of the tax roll to Dutchess County, and budget modifications. It's really a housekeeping list of business tonight, but if Mr. Walsh would care to comment on any of those items, we are here to listen to you, sir.
What is it again?
Any of those regular business items,
No.
Okay, well, you'll have opportunity in a few more minutes,
Yeah.
if any of those
Strike your fancy.
strike your fancy.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
All right. Okay, regular business. Resolution establishing election day. What number resolution are we at, clerk?
54.
54. Resolution 54, where are you? Sorry.
Oh, that's bad.
Okay, be it resolved that we are going to establish election day for Tuesday, March 20th, 2018 at the Tivoli Firehouse between the hours of noon and 9 p.m. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution establishing election day? That was the deputy mayor, followed by trustee Murphy. And is there any discussion? I believe we have on the
A roll call vote.
on the ballot, we're gonna do a roll call on it, Chris, even though she's not here, but we're gonna have 2 trustee seats up. Is that it? I think that's it, this year, okay. A roll call vote, please. Trustee Israedi,
Aye.
trustee Schneider,
Aye.
deputy mayor Major,
Aye.
trustee Murphy.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Regular business number 2, resolution appointing election inspectors for the village March elections, which we now will know will be March 20th. And once again, Margaret Lemon and Judy Scott are residents willing to volunteer, not quite volunteer, but might as well be at $10.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Is there a motion to appoint those election inspectors for the village March elections?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
That was Schneider Israedi. Any discussion?
Will there be candy?
Will there
I
be
don't know
candy?
there's candy at the village elections. We have them in the November
Oh,
elections.
yes, there will be there, because
All right.
Judy Scott's gonna be there.
Okay. I'm not
So come and
gonna
cast
say
your
so.
vote
She
and
said
get your
so.
sugar fix.
All right, so how sweet it is. Roll call vote, please. Trustee Israedi.
Aye. Sorry.
Someone at the door. Trustee Schneider.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Major.
Aye.
Trustee Murphy.
Aye.
I also vote aye. Moving on to, hello Pamela, thank you for joining us. Just leave it ajar a little
I'll
bit.
leave the door open?
Thank you for accepting the invitation to join us. You can sign in here on our sheet there. Regular business number 3, motion approving purchase of fuel oil, propane, and diesel. We are going with state bids, state bid winners for each of these fuels. The number 2 fuel oil state bid winner is Bettini. Propane is Costco Perico, and diesel is Heritage Energy. So as a municipality, we can piggyback on the state bid. They've already done the competitive pricing. Is there a motion to approve the purchases from those 3 companies?
I move.
That was the deputy mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? It's a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
And number 4, approving of the 2018 holiday schedule. Trustees, you have it here in your binders. New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, President's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, 2 days for Thanksgiving, that would be the 22nd and 23rd, Thursday, Friday, and Christmas. That's for the 2018 holiday schedule. Is there a motion to approve this schedule?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second?
Was it Israedi followed by Schneider? All in favor?
Aye.
And number 5, returning of the tax roll to Dutchess County. This is a motion to approve the return of the village tax roll to Dutchess County in the amount of $20,838.01. Is there a motion to approve the return of the tax roll?
Move.
That was trustee Murphy, followed by trustee Schneider. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the motion carries. Lastly, we have budget modifications. Trustees, we went over this in our workshop. One item I'll just bring to the public's attention, and we'll be talking more about our intense water main break recently. During that break, we were actually bringing in water in tanker trucks to keep our water tower filled with water. And I'm gonna have specific numbers on just what that cost us, but it cost us enough, we have to move some money over to the transmission distribution line in the water fund. So just to let you know, some of that is already showing up in our monthly budget modifications. Trustees, you've seen this, so is there a motion to approve these budget modifications?
So moved.
Is there a second? That was as Roddy, followed by Major. Any further discussion? I've said my bit. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the budget modifications are approved. The next board meeting will be held Wednesday, December 20th, 2017 at 7 p.m., preceded by a workshop at 6 p.m. here at the historic Watts de Peyster Hall. And we will have a regular workshop on December 13th, 2017 at 7 p.m. And in addition to whatever business we may have on December 13th, the village board will be doing something we've been doing the last few years, which is a 6-month budget review, where we check in and see where we are in our 12-month budget, which runs June 1st to May 31st. 6 months in, we like to do a very comprehensive look at how the spending is going. So if that interests you, it's an open meeting in the mayor's office, December 13th. Moving on to committee reports, Trustee Ezrati, please.
I just wanted to update the board and the participants here on the performance of our LoSAP portfolio. This is the $500 a year that is set aside for each individual firefighter who has earned 50 points or more of service for the fire department. And our investment manager is RBC Wealth Management. We made a change in the asset allocation for these funds about a year ago to increase the equity exposure in the funds. And year to date, they have earned 9.8%, and the 1 year results are 10.2. What's really nice about this is that even at a lower equity allocation, we started this fund in 2008. Our target for this fund was a 6% return. And we have since the beginning, which was, if any of you remember 2008 and 9, that wasn't too good a time to be invested in the markets, but despite that, the annual return over that period has been 5.95%. So we're 5 basis points off of our target, which makes me pretty happy. In addition to that, we have water and sewer, and I'm going to turn this over to the mayor to talk about it.
We'll talk about the break, and we have the report handy, so maybe we'll go back to the report with the microbiological sampling, and yeah, there it is. I think it's in the back of your binder there.
Yeah, okay.
You want to?
Yeah.
Sure. So while there are no comments or remarks on the November report, the break we had in November will show up next month, but because it was the biggest news around here in a long time, I'll just talk about it now. I was actually out of town, and I want to thank the deputy mayor for holding the keys to the village during the beginning of the crisis, and then we passed those keys off halfway through. It was about 3.5, 4 days of intensity here for the village and its residents and staff. Superintendent Simmons noticed a tremendous drop in the height of the water tower, which is one of the many ways he says there must be a leak somewhere. And then, unlike most of the time, he was unable to find this leak. Often, every day he travels the entire village. You'll see a puddle on a dry day, and you say, okay, there's a leak there, dig here. That was not the case, and so unfortunately he could see in the tower that we were losing water, but couldn't find any other evidence of it. And we brought in the New York State Rural Water Association, several gentlemen from there. They have special equipment for listening to a water system. They have these magnetized sensors they
Yeah,
put
it's
on.
like a barrel of monkeys, and they stick it onto the fire hydrants, and they have earphones to listen, because the cast iron
Speed.
carries the sound really well, for something like 1,500 feet. So they were listening for anomalies.
And these gentlemen who do this all the time and have one of them for 30 years also could not find our leak. And given those conditions and that we didn't know how long it was going to go on, we put in a water
Emergency.
advisory to conserve water. And I just want to thank residents for complying with that.
Yeah, and to the fire department for being on it, because that was the big fear. Like if we have a fire while the tower is basically empty. So
Right,
thanks
so
to the chief for
we had all the wells going, and but this leak was happening, and it was about stable. We were losing a little bit, but with all the wells going. We also were bringing in, as I said before, tanker trucks. We brought in tens of thousands of gallons of water that get pumped into the hydrant and up into the tower, just to make sure we had water, should we have needed it for a fire or whatnot. And eventually, since the listening didn't work and we continued to be unable to find any physical, lake, the next way to find a leak is disruptive. However, we dug down under the water tower, the main coming off of there. You put this special strap-on flow meter that can measure how fast the water is coming out of the tower. Then you run around and turn off all your wells, so there's no water going in. You get a reading of gallons per minute leaking out of the tower. Then our DPW, with these rural water gentlemen, run around and start turning off different water lines. And when you turn off the one where the leak is, this flow slows way down. And that was how we ended up discovering it, that it was off of Broadway going down the hill towards the river on one of the estates there in a service line. So the service line is the property owner's connection to the municipal water. And because that service line was basically cross country in the woods next to a small creek, that's where the water was going, and that's one of the reasons it couldn't be found. Our personnel had actually walked that area during these several days and didn't see a lake. It was just a heap of bad luck that was where the water, that the break was next to a stream. Needless to say, once it was found, we turned off all that water over there, and the property owners responsible got that repaired, and the water was turned on. We made it through, folks, but it was dire and scary and
Costly.
and we're still running the numbers. But I'm gonna get how much we spent digging, how much we spent bringing in other people, how much we spent trucking in water, and all the overtime for our three gentlemen, and their regular time, because on that Tuesday, for example, they were still chasing this water main break, and they were not doing garbage. So we need to count those hours towards this, what did it cost us? It's a good time for me to thank the Village of Red Hook, Mayor Ed Blundell and Dan there, because the Village of Red Hook came in and did garbage collection for us, so that our personnel could continue to work on this crisis. So thank you very much to our neighbors in the Village of Red Hook. And I think a particularly scary moment is, the third night, and our guys have been out in the cold, in the wind, for days, overtime, limited sleep. They were just about at the end of what, they shouldn't really be on their feet anymore. And that's a scary moment. Had we not found it and it went on for a couple more days, they could not have been continuing to work. I'm glad we didn't quite get there, but that was a bit of a shocker when you think of how small our department is. Cannot praise and thank enough Superintendent James Simmons, Cody Thayer, and Ralph Torsha Jr., the gentlemen of our DPW. They were tireless and dedicated to their role here. I know they get paid for it, but they just worked in the most noble and dedicated way. So I want to thank those gentlemen. So that was our most recent water main break. And
winter's coming.
winter's coming.
This is a good time to remind everyone about tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Well, we'll do it now. On this topic, tomorrow evening, Thursday, November 16th at 7 p.m. here on the 3rd floor will be the final Water and Sewer Forum. Now, as hopefully everyone knows by now, because it's been going on for a year, the Village of Tivoli, the Village Board, has been taking a long, hard look at what are we going to do about our ancient and decaying infrastructure. We've had the report done, an $80,000 engineering study by Ty and Bond. That report came out last April. There were a series of public presentations of that report. Some residents attended. Unfortunately, not as many did as ought to have. You can watch that video on YouTube. Pandas filmed it. It's on the village website. You can link to it and watch it. It's about 2 hours. I recommend watching it. It really spells out what the engineers found who evaluated the condition, also the costs that we're going to look at. And the final piece of that is, does the village maintain ownership and tackle these repairs and all that financing ourselves, or we have the option to transfer the systems to the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority. There's information in those reports and on our website about who and what are the Water Authority. They are a public benefit corporation that was created in 1991 by Dutchess County, authorized by New York State, to come in and take over failing systems from smaller entities, be they municipalities, homeowners associations, private water districts, and manage them, take over, run it, find the money, do the work, fix it, maintain it. So that's tomorrow evening, and I'll tell you that having gone through what we went through the first week of this month, I hope everyone will come to that meeting and help us talk about this together as a community and find the way forward. Anything else to add to the water main story before we just get into the report? Here, I'm going to give it back to you because I just spoke a lot.
Well, just a thank you to our DPW guys for sticking with it and identifying the outside resources they needed to get it fixed.
And I can't tell you how much New York State Rural Water Association, what a tremendous resource that was for us to have that expertise and that equipment. And frankly, with the two gentlemen we had, just their morale was really helpful. They really kept their chins up, and that inspired us to do the same. So, should we go through the report, maybe?
This is the report for the month of October, and the Ball Lot well was not pumping. The McKnight well was pumping at 12,000 gallons a day. The two PW Potts West well was pumping at 12,000 a day, and the 5 PW was pumping at about 8,500 a day, but it was off for the middle of the month, a week in the middle of the month. And the 4 PE and 10 PE wells were pumping at 17,000 gallons a day, which is higher than they usually pump. And our biggest well, the Woodmark well, was running slightly higher than it usually does. So we had a total of about 730,000 gallons being pumped for most of the month, and the water tower was at its usual 165 to 168 feet, although it does look like towards the end of the month it was phasing out there. Now, the question that I always ask is...
This was October. All that
This
information is
was
the month of October.
Okay. What was the rainfall?
1.85.
Okay. Anybody else has it a guess?
3.2.
3.2. Okay.
3.5.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 2.7.
4.5.
Wow.
So it means that, you know,
Sorry,
but it
close.
comes,
Yeah.
the
That's
reason
2
I
months in a
never
row.
remember the 30th of October, so that was the day before Halloween, we got 2 inches of rain,
That's right.
2.4 in one day.
It's hard this game.
Yeah, but there were no water main breaks.
Not in October.
They saved it
Yeah.
for November.
Thank you, Trustee Israeli.
Okay.
Committee reports, Trustee Schneider, please.
All right, so for the month of October, looks like the Village of Tivoli Justice Court was popping. This is the place to be. Charges received totaled 40, charges disposed totaled 33, and a total of $2,978 was collected and remitted to the State Comptroller's Office.
Thank you very much. Trustee Murphy.
Nothing this one.
Well, we want to thank Trustee Murphy for the full costume Halloween lip sync party. Yeah. I mean, you weren't there, but there was a Care Bear blue about your height who was there.
Blue
Yeah.
beard and everything, really brought out the house.
So, how did it go?
I don't know, I wasn't there.
I was trying to get him to incriminate himself. I think it was another successful event for the young people of the Village of Tivoli. Thank you very much for getting your associate to take care of that. Deputy Mayor Major.
I guess I'll start by saying that we had the second community potluck put on by the Village of Tivoli and Bard's Center for Civic Engagement, which was great. We had probably about 35 people and up on the 3rd floor, and we'll be doing it again in the spring, if not before. Just a great opportunity to get
A lot
together.
A lot of BARD participation.
Yep.
And a lot of children.
A lot of children, a lot of, you know, a lot of
Energy.
food, a lot of energy. Yeah, absolutely. Big things at the library, as always, tech assistance for seniors on Saturdays from 10 to 2. Bring your devices, or you can ask questions using the library's computers. Preschool story hour with Miss Penny, always a favorite. Tuesdays from 10:30 to 11:30. Create Tuesdays from 4:30 to 5:30, and it's a weekly arts and crafts for 5 to 10-year-olds. Something I'm super excited about is Scrabble night. Second Wednesday of each month, 5:30 to 7, for 18 and up. Coffee and snacks provided. Could be pretty competitive. Hooks and Needles, Yarns and Thread, Thursdays from 10 to 2 in the East Room. It's a gathering of fiber enthusiasts for knitting, hooking, crocheting, conversation. And the Tarot Club is going to be meeting every other Thursday from 6 to 7 in the East Room. And something kind of cool, the Red Hook Library is offering services to people who can't get to the library. So if you are homebound, you call up the Red Hook Library and they will bring you books and materials. Tons of stuff going on at Claremont between now and Christmas. There's an event called A Child's Christmas, which is Saturday and Sunday this weekend. 10 to 2, drop in for story hours read under the Christmas tree, and treats for kids ages 3 to 10. The annual holiday party is on the 9th. The Christmas open house at Claremont is December 16th from 11 to 4, and that's always super fun and festive, and you can explore the mansion at your leisure, and there are people there to ask, answer questions, and again, snacks, and it's free. Montgomery Place is closed for tours now because it's getting on towards winter, but the grounds are open every day from dawn to dusk, and just watch out for ticks, as always. Olana also, check out their website, olana.org. There's a ton of workshops going on before the holidays of like candle making and wreath making and Persian tile making and all very cool things. Don't go out in the bays without safety orange on, because you're asking for trouble. And again, the ticks. But the most important awesome thing is Winterfest, December 9th. So 2:30 to 4:30 there will be activities for the kids at the firehouse. Craft making, cookie decorating, Santa horse and wagon rides, and a holiday craft fair, like a gift fair, also in the firehouse. And then at 4:30 we're gonna light the tree, and then everybody can go over to Murray's for a production of A Christmas Carol up in the sanctuary, done again by Theater on the Road, and it's free. It's sponsored by Historic Red Hook and the Village of Tivoli and the Tivoli Free Library, and there'll be refreshments and it'll be awesome. Last year it was pretty much packed the house.
Yeah.
So
December 9th.
December 9th, write it down. Be there.
It's coming sooner than we think, right?
Yes.
It's like 3 weeks.
That's all I've got.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Well, since we've met last, I'm sure everyone has noticed the bridge reopened. You may have also noticed that it's not quite finished. It's open for vehicles. It looks like they're getting very close to pouring the sidewalk. We're looking forward to that 5-foot sidewalk, replacing the 3-foot sidewalk on the old bridge. You know, it is and was a Dutchess County project, and an opportunity for everyone to learn that there's a county government who also can
Take phone calls.
take phone calls and do good things for their constituents and field complaints as well. So, but I do want to just say that, you know, we got through it as a village, and I particularly want to thank our neighbors on Montgomery Street who had to put up with the detour. I know that was a tremendous inconvenience, and the parking restrictions and everything. So thank you all, and eventually the bridge is going to be clad. You know, some people say, well, it's kind of cold looking. Well, they're not finished, and the historic stone, the Madeline stone, and the historic lampposts, that's all still to come. So when it's done, it's going to be very similar in appearance to the bridge, the old bridge. So.
I heard from the engineer down there that one particular Tivolian did a yeoman's service tolerating the bridge production, and that was our friend Matt, who lives right on the bridge, and he got kudos from the building
lot of
crew
construction
there
outside your front door
for
for
his
6 months.
tolerance of everything that was going
Yeah,
on.
Matt and
So,
Susan.
Yeah.
I just want to mention, because I haven't in a while, that the Village of Tivoli is patrolled by the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office, and if you ever need the police, if it's an emergency, you call 911. But if it's a noise complaint, or someone's parked in your driveway, or anything else that's not an emergency, contact the Sheriff's Office. Their number is 486-3800. I want to thank Commander Mabey and the gentleman of the Harris Smith Post for inviting me to speak at Veterans Day on the 11th. It was bitterly cold, but it was a smaller crowd, and we did it right outside the Legion and then ran quickly inside the Legion for the hot dogs. But it's always a real pleasure and an honor for me to speak at that, and I just want to thank the Harris Smith Post. And you know, when these come up around, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, we always have nice events here in Tivoli, and the public's always welcome. Can't read that.
St. Paul's.
Oh yes, 200th anniversary of St. Paul's.
That was
Take
a
it away.
It was a fine
That
day.
also happened since last we met.
Yeah.
So
So that was,
October 21st, was it?
that's an official day now, right?
It's an official day,
It's an
yes.
official day,
So we had a banquet. Well, first we had a tour
right?
of the cemetery and the church with Father Lindsley.
Yeah.
And then we had a banquet here at the American Legion. They also, St. Paul's chose a Person of the Year.
Right.
So she got both awards. That was our own Citizen of the Year, Margaret Lemon,
yes.
and St. Paul's also gave her their top honors. So she's, it's a good thing when you get the Emmy and the Oscar and the,
That's true,
Yeah.
yeah. What else can she get?
What else can she
before
get?
December 31st.
right. So a wonderful time. St. Paul's is the last open and functioning church and congregation in our village, and we're, you know, historically and even currently, they're a very important fixture in our community. So it was a real pleasure to celebrate with them. And we mentioned Winterfest on the 9th. Tuesday the 21st, we will be planting, we've got about 450 more daffodils to get in.
Come on. More?
Yes. A couple weeks ago, and Pete was there, a number of other residents, we put in close to 600, and we've got a few more to do, so everyone is welcome to join. It's going to be Tuesday afternoon, next Tuesday, the 21st, about 4 o'clock, and we'll be down at the far end of Montgomery Street, at the south end. We're going to plant a whole bunch down there near the treatment plant and on the southern entrance to the village. When we get those in, that will bring to the total to 3,000 in the last 3 years that have gone in around the village, and I just can't wait for spring.
You might.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. So please come out and join us. It's a lot of fun. Tuesday the 21st, 3:45, 4 o'clock down on Montgomery Street. And I also recently had the pleasure of appointing a new planning board alternate. The planning board in Tivoli has 5 members and 2 alternates. It has been a long goal of mine and the boards to get all our boards full. There have been times in the past when you might have 3 people on a 5-person board, and if one person can't make it, you can't have a meeting. You don't have a quorum. So I'm really excited that the boards are full, and that we're even getting our alternates seats filled if someone has a conflict and they have to recuse themselves and the alternates step in. So our second and final alternate seat has been filled by Jake Stortini. I want to thank Jake for his willingness to serve the village and congratulate him on taking that place, and I believe he already attended his first meeting on Monday. Once again, I want to thank the gentlemen of our DPW, James, Cody, and Ralph, for their tremendous work. And with that, I'll turn it over to the public. If you have any comment on anything you've heard tonight or anything else, you have the attention of the Village Board of Trustees. Mr. Walsh.
I can't think of a bigger exclamation point than our recent water main break and to lead us up into tomorrow's meeting.
Yeah.
If that
I think we
doesn't
should
shock the
agree more.
rest of the community into, I don't know what's gonna.
Yeah, we need more than 30 people.
We need more than 30 people, and
Yeah.
some people have already written and said, I can't make it or whatever, but you can send us emails, you can tell us what you think. We're compiling, you can call, you can make an appointment to come talk to any of us another time if you can't come tomorrow night. I think the advantage of tomorrow night is we will all be there, and you can hear each other, fellow residents. We can talk as a community, but that's no reason that we shouldn't know your 2 cents. So.
Is this going to a vote? The board's gonna vote which way to go?
So the whole process. Tomorrow night, I'm calling a forum, and it's a community conversation. We're not making any decisions tomorrow night. That will be the 3rd opportunity in the last 6 months for residents to learn the information, understand the information, clarify any questions they have, and give us their feedback. At some point after tomorrow night, the 5 of us are going to have to make a decision. And I'll explain the process. If we decide to keep it, that's that. If we decide to transfer, that process can take many months, but the details are as follows, and I will be explaining this more tomorrow night. The Village Board of Trustees would say to the Water Authority, please come take over our systems. Both parties work out a transfer agreement, which is not unlike buying a house. Both parties work out a contract, it goes back and forth, it's iterative, they say, no, we want this in there, we want that in there. When both parties are satisfied with that agreement, they resolve to authorize that agreement. If it gets authorized, the Water Authority has no authority to do anything in Tivoli without the county legislature drawing as an assessment district around the users of this system. So then it would go to the county legislature, they vote. Their vote has a public hearing, which is another opportunity for anyone to go talk about it. And their vote is subject to permissive referendum, so they can just vote. But there's a 45-day period when, if 5% of the voters in Tivoli sign a petition and say, no, we want a referendum on this. And that's a pretty low threshold, 5%. It's pretty easy for people to sign it and force a referendum on that act of the county legislature. That vote would happen here in Tivoli. Everyone who's registered to vote in Tivoli can vote in that. So if you're not registered in Tivoli yet, you might think about it in case that happens. And then it's an up or down vote on whether this district gets drawn. If it's voted down, then the district is not created, the water authority goes off, and the village of Tivoli maintains ownership. That's the process. I'm happy to explain that over and over again because there are many steps and pieces to it.
Is there a public hearing here? Or the forum is kind of the public hearing?
There's no, the legal term public hearing. If we decide to transfer, we just have a vote. It would happen at a public meeting like this. There's no hearing per se. I've and the board have been trying for 8 months to make everyone aware, and we've had it on the website for 8 months. I can't wait to get.
Tomorrow night will be a public hearing about.
It's a public forum. It's a public
forum.
It's not a hearing per se. It's actually it's a bit less formal
Right.
and probably easier for us to all talk and sort it out and stuff. So there will be a public forum tomorrow night. And our workshop on the 13th and the meeting on the 20th, as you are here this evening, they're always public. So, again, nothing's gonna happen fast, nothing's gonna happen behind closed doors, so, please tell your friends and neighbors, we do not wanna have to decide this by ourselves.
This is the biggest decision that Tivoli's had to make in 83 years. And
So
so,
why is it made this way? Why does it not automatically go to like a referendum? Why is it not voted on by everyone?
Well, I guess that has to do with the mechanics of the county legislature and what sort of actions they take and which ones require
Right.
an automatic referendum or a permissive referendum. But the permissive referendum, it's really easy to get 5% of the people in Tivoli and have that vote. And I think if it goes to that direction, I think it's likely that there will be a petition and there will be a vote.
Right.
And then it's really up to all of us to make the best decision of what we think is in the best interest of Tivoli's future.
But tomorrow is a great opportunity to come and hear about information that obviously can lead up to a decision one way or another. So
I think the other thing to say about this, and we'll talk about it tomorrow night, but we spent $80,000 on an engineering study that says we have to make a huge number of capital improvements to the water system.
And the sewer system.
Yeah, and
That was confirmed by last week, right?
yeah, that is going to happen, and that will incur costs
Right.
that water users in the village of Tivoli will have to incur. So the question is, who is best qualified
what's the best way to
what's-
Right, and how,
to
execute
how
those
does it-
changes?
right.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. I remember talking about it before.
Mhm. Other public comments? Mr. Walsh?
I was prowling around down the bridge one of these, a couple weeks ago, and I noticed this really cool old remnants of a foundation there off to
Yeah.
the right.
Uh-huh.
Is that on county land? Remember they were gonna do something?
Oh,
with
it's like a fieldstone wall.
Yeah,
or a pit,
Yeah, I
I'll
think.
hand that over to the deputy
This
mayor
is
to
an
tell
old
you about.
foundation of an old mill.
that is
or-
the foundation of an old mill. As early as 1812, there was a mill there run by a man named Peter Tenbrook Myers, after whom the village of Myersville was named, which was the historic name for the Four Corners section of Tivoli. And it was a hat factory, it was a grist mill, it was a plaster mill, it was all sorts of things, up into the early 20th century.
And that site, is on county land. There's a parcel there that's about 100 feet along Broadway and goes
Right.
200 feet south along the stream. That the county has had for a couple of years the idea to make it a little pocket park,
You're right.
which it's sort of
Yeah.
come to front burner and gone to back burner a few
Right.
times. We've had presentations from the county about the design of the park, and we've had a draft agreement, and we've put in some feedback about, you know, who's gonna maintain it and all that. It's still on paper at this point, but obviously with the bridge construction, that sort of went to the side. There's, you
Right.
know, but I think the likelihood of an eventual pocket park there, showcasing that ruin,
Right, that's what I
showcasing the
thought.
history of Myersville, the mill town,
Right,
is a possibility.
I was gonna say, how awesome would that be? Even just the foundation itself kind of restored so you could see it a little better.
Yep.
And stuff, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think it's in our future.
Okay.
So
Hearing the forum tomorrow will be at 7?
7 o'clock. Third floor.
floor.
Any other public comment or comments from the board?
Thank you for your hard work, I appreciate it.
You are welcome. And
I mean,
thank you for
last week
coming.
was a real testament. Every day I saw them all over town, I just couldn't believe it. I guess next time we'll just dig into the little
Right.
process rather than,
Right.
Well, and I think the bridge project made us all tougher as a community, because my great thanks would be to, you know, along with the DPW, you know, to the residents who didn't freak out.
you know.
You know, so I think there's sort of a esprit de corps among us.
And I'm grateful that none of the phone poles came down on Montgomery during that. I tell you, I think maybe
If
we
you
should
got next.
consider burying our lines at some point. I'd be happy to
Oh, yeah, we've
write
talked
grants
about it.
or anything for that.
Mhm.
I think it's important.
Yeah, those people often said over the last 6 months, those phone poles in the middle of the road, they're on the edge of the road, but
They're
They're
traffic
in the
calming
road.
devices.
Well, there are other sections further north on Montgomery Street where, you know, the poles were in a 16-inch grass strip. So it was yard, sidewalk, grass strip with poles, street. And at some point in the past when they paved, they just paved in over the grass strip, putting the poles in the road. Odd choice, I don't know why they did that, but
You can see where the plow
in the
has
middle.
marked them.
Yes,
Yeah.
most of them have at least one nick on them.
Yeah.
The minimum.
Anyway,
And our speed sign has moved back to Broadway with the new bridge. Obviously, that's the appropriate location for it again with most of the traffic coming in there.
Just gonna put a reminder out there to anyone who finds themselves unwittingly turning onto Montgomery to exit the
a hard
village,
habit to
because
break,
now it's a
right?
hard habit to break, to again remind everyone just to be mindful of the school buses and children that are traveling up and down Montgomery Street. Just be careful driving there.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second?
Second.
You can pick that one. All in favor? Aye. 7:55.
I like
Thank
the
you
idea of
all.
Clerk's choice.
Clerk's choice.
Clerk's choice.